Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Task Human Talks. I am your host and fellow wellness provider, Jamie Carroll. And today, all the way from Bali, I am going to be jamming with Aya Miklos. And Aya is a holistic wellness coach on our platform. So, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Namaste, and thank you for the time difference also that we managed
Yeah.
to organize this because we are almost half day apart.
Yes, absolutely. I know we're on completely different. It's evening time for me and morning time for you.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. It's beautiful where you are. So that's nice. Okay. So why don't you tell us, what are you working with on the app? Like, what kind of people are you working with? What are you helping them with?
Yeah, I am on the platform mostly with my human design coaching,
Okay.
and actually, this will be the topic today. But
Yes.
I have almost 10 years of experience in other modalities yoga, fitness, plant based nutrition, and also in holistic coaching. And basically, the main goal, if we can say what I'm helping like people with, is to get unstuck because a
Mm,
lot of people are very stuck in, I can say, we call it also in yogic term and also in human design term, like victim consciousness, when
okay.
they feel that they are just basically like they are not in control of their life and that the environment is controlling them or other people are controlling them. All the modalities, my main goal is to help them to get out first from victim consciousness. They will get into survivor consciousness, which is that they can deal with anything, whatever life brings. And from
Mhm.
survivor consciousness, I am helping them to get to creator consciousness when they
Awesome.
can realize that they are able to create their own reality.
Awesome.
So
I love that. So get unstuck and create their own reality. That's really beautiful. Wonderful. And yeah, we're going to get into human design today because I am super excited to talk about this with you. And I know everyone out there listening is going to want to hear more about human design. So thank you for sharing the ways that you're helping people get unstuck. And I know that the human design is a big part of it. But before we did dive into all of that, I want to talk about your own journey towards this work because did some research on you, and one of the stories you shared before is your near death experience. Are you open to sharing a little bit more about that?
yeah, well, it's a very big story. It's a long story. So, of course, even in this particular topic, we could go like hours
Right.
if the people are interested. But of course, I won't try to go so stretch. But about the being stuck, so my, let's say, my life before this experience, I am economist as well. I have a
Okay.
master's in
Okay.
economics,
Yep.
and I was working in the fashion industry, the luxury fashion industry, and we were bringing an Italian brand to. I am originally from Hungary, so
Okay.
we brought an Italian brand to Hungary, and I was responsible for visual merchandising, management, with the newspapers work and everything to bring the brand to the country and then to
Mhm.
advertise the brand and make it live. So it was like a very different environment,
Right.
and it was also very superficial. So people are really judging you in the fashion industry by your everyday look, by what you
Right.
are wearing to these fashion events, especially for like launches. You cannot wear the same clothes what you wear on a before event, so you
Mhm.
always have to be updated and also with new designer clothes, because if it's just a boutique clothes, you are not really in the club, let's say. So it
Okay.
was a very like I can't say I did not enjoy, because that's the funny thing that at that time I was feeling, oh, I'm living the life, and I was thinking that, oh, I'm in the best environment, and like
Right.
everyone is so beautiful and fancy and everything. And I was at that time married, and even my, let's say, this is a little personal part, but my main family history is very religious. So
Okay.
like I married the first man of my life,
Okay.
and we were like very strict in the process of becoming into marriage and everything.
Yeah.
So I was living a life which for society perspective it's the perfect. Like I
Right.
graduated at the university, I married my first love,
Mhm.
everything is like beautiful bubble. But inside of me it was always something that just missing, and my body signaled me that it is not the right path.
Yeah.
Because one day I just woke up, and the before day also my ex-husband, he was professional bodybuilder, so
Okay.
everything was about the look. And that's how also my journey into the fitness side was at that time,
Right.
because of him competing. I did a judge exam, I was judging on competitions, I was doing bikini fitness prep for ladies, I did so many things. But one day I woke up and my left leg was full paralyzed. I could not move it, and even the little toe, and it was
Wow.
very heavy. So basically at that time it was also a big fight between me and my partner, because he was saying it is just because before we had leg day, and that for sure I just have very like slow pain, and I'm just like making the show. And I said to him that no, it's not because of the leg day, it's something else. And look, my leg is this leg bigger, like 1.5 bigger than the other
Wow.
one. It's something not okay. Thanks God, like I had a very good friend at that time, and her mom is a doctor. And I
Okay.
called my friend, this was also early morning, and I just said to her that, look, something is not okay with my leg, because I absolutely cannot move it. I literally cannot move. And it's just big. And it's not that even pain. It's just, I did not feel that leg. Like I cannot explain it. And then she said that immediately I have to measure the ankle. And
Okay.
when I measured the ankle, it turned out that it's literally like 1.5 bigger than the good leg. And then her mom said that immediately ambulance, and this is thrombosis. And we get into the hospital luckily at good time, but already they said that the blood is in my lung, and it's also lung embolism. And in my family, my grandfather died in lung embolism. My grandmother died in lung embolism. I have a very bad history, family history with lung embolism.
Okay.
And yeah, basically what happened that I got saved, but for some seconds I was already on the, I don't know it in English, to get air, because I could not
Oxygen.
also breathe.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So it's funny because now also in this pandemic time, like it's also another story, but
Right.
I already lived this experience, that the embolism, and basically like clinically I was dead for some seconds, because they lost
Wow.
the contact with me.
Mhm.
But in my experience it was a total different experience, and this part is would be a much longer
Yeah.
conversation. But basically I just saw my body from outside, and I realized it was a more for me experience wise, more than 1.5 2 hours
Mhm.
experience.
Right.
And I understood for myself that what my consciousness created, that I can choose to go away from this body, and something I felt very good. That's the funny, I felt like amazing. I felt wherever I go, it's something beautiful, and the
Right.
colors were beautiful, and I felt very good. But I saw my mom next to my bed, and also the doctors, and I
Okay.
literally saw myself. And at that moment, I understood that there is a body. I know that body. I know the story of that, let's say, person and persona in that body. I can choose to go back still or go away, but then I don't know why I was here, because honestly I did not really accomplish anything apart
Right.
from bringing an Italian brand to Hungary. So and playing beautiful among people. So I did not accomplish anything at that time in my life. So I
Mhm.
decided that if by any chance I can get back to that person
Yeah.
body, then I just want to live a total different life. And that's how it started.
Wow, yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. I think it's going to be really interesting and I wanted you to share that with us because you have some interesting takes on life and how we're living here on this earth. And so I think that's really helpful to know that about you. And that's just crazy. I'm sure we could do a whole other podcast episode just on
Yeah,
that
it's long.
whole piece of it. But is this so did you get into human design after?
Yes, yes, or even to yoga, because I was
Okay.
before just fully on the fitness side. Like I was
Okay.
everything about the look. And
Right.
I did not understand the difference also. What is the difference between look and real health? This is also, that's why it's part of me becoming plant-based,
Yeah.
because I have this blood condition. It's
Okay.
called heterozygote Leiden factor B.
Okay.
It is a blood coagulation problem, that
Okay.
my blood is much more thick than
Mhm.
normal people. So this also a long story, but I was on medication for more than 6 7 years, and then I managed to, with fasting and natural hygiene and fruit fasting, I'm in 1.5 years I managed to clear out the medication, and now I'm full
Wow.
medication free. So this
Wow.
also, so many steps were coming from this, and that's why I'm like very much against protein powders also,
Okay.
because I have the feeling that this contributed to my thrombosis,
Yeah.
because animal fat and animal protein is more clogging the arteries.
Right.
And this is what a lot of people are not aware of. And
Yeah.
I personally have a lot of, unfortunately, even in this beautiful industry in bodybuilding and fitness, who
Right.
died very early because of
Yeah.
coronary problems.
Wow, yeah, that's a whole other topic too that we could get
Yeah,
into.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yes.
We're already gonna have you back. But let's get into human design because I definitely want to make sure we get all the goodness of that.
Yeah,
What
sure, sure,
is
sure.
human design?
So, human design, we can also call human design as the science of differentiation. And already in the name, we can understand that this is something different than other things, because even, for example, astrology is more homogenizing the people. It
Okay.
says that if you are Leo, you are like this. If you
Yes.
are a Taurus, you are like that. But in the human design system, we are going much deeper into the qualities of the person. And basically, this is, everyone needs to know, this is a channeled knowledge. So that's why it also has some opponents, and some people like attack it as being not real, because it got channeled to one person, and then
Okay.
he brought it to paper, let's say.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this person, his name is Alan Krakover, and it's funny because when he got this channeling, it's that year when I was born in 1987,
Oh
and
wow.
I don't know if it meant to find me this knowledge, but yeah. So basically, this, let's say, system is combining astrology, combining the chakra system, combining quantum physics, because of the way how it is explaining the different levels of consciousness, combining the Chinese I Ching as well. And here for me it got more interesting, because with the astrology also, I don't know if viewers know this, but there is also like different type of
Yeah.
astrologies. There is the Western, the tropical, and then there is the Vedic
Mhm.
astrology, and there is actually even the sideral. So there are like different levels of astrology. And then
Okay.
the I Ching is in China. They used it as a future teller. The interesting thing that how in China they use the I Ching, that they are tossing the coins, and that what coin you get for that, what lines you get, I Ching line you get on that day, that is your message for the day. How
Okay.
the human design system, they use the I Ching, that according to our birth, they place the I Ching circle around the zodiac circle, and
Okay.
that where the planets are reaching different horoscopes, we can say, there are the
Mhm.
different I Ching lines on the outer circle of the map. And basically, on the birth time, some of the I Ching lines are already defined, and this
Okay.
is what we are working in within the system. I know it's a little difficult, but I try to make it like a little easier to
Yeah.
understand for everyone. Why for me it got interesting, because according to this system, already everything is pre-written. So we have already an internal potential in us. And why I'm always very cautious to tell people that this is a potential, because most of the people, exactly because of the homogenized world, and that we are trying to live up to expectations of society and other people, and we are not, most of us, not living our life according to ourself, our soul purpose. Because of this, a lot of people die with their potential. So it just won't come out because they never dig deep what is their potential.
Yeah. Interesting. So this human design that you use with people, is it helping them like figure out what their soul purpose is? Is it personality? Is it a combination of those things?
Yeah, so basically, why I like to use it to start off even for consultations, because we can see like literally everything in it. We can even see that what are, for example, how the person is digesting food, what type of brain cognition they have. Are they more the right type of people, right brain or left brain? Because nutrition also needs to be different. For example, a passive brain or an active brain.
Okay.
And then also that how they should take in nutrition. Is it good for them more daylight eating or more night eating, or more in like lower sound environment or higher sound? So even in these things we can go deep. Even we can see what are the beneficial environments for them.
Right.
So for example, they are mountain or sea or humid or colder environments. So many layers in this system where we can like map out the person.
Yeah.
And then also, yes, it's part of also like a little the personality, but also with the personality that we need to know that personality can change and people can fake even. So
Yeah.
that's why the personalities for me, it's like a funny even structure, because in personality, if you are not living yourself, maybe whole your life you try to live a different personality, but you are not like
Mm,
that. Like in my
right.
own, I can say that, for example, all my life I try to be like an extrovert. I try to be out and socialize, network, everything.
Yeah.
But inside me, I am really very different. Like I'm more like introvert.
Right.
And it's funny because for example, there are these personality tests where you have
Right.
to answer questions, and then the computer, according to your question, decides what type of personality
Yes.
you are. So this you can fake it, because if what is expected from the computer to make you an extrovert, you can
Mm-hmm.
answer the questions that like that. But
Yes.
if you
Yeah.
want to lie even to yourself that you are maybe extrovert, but if you are honest, then maybe really total different
Right.
type of personality comes out.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. This question just came to me. So I find some of those personality tests, and even I because I read astrology and I'm careful not to preface this with clients that I work with, but sometimes those things can feel limiting, right? Like I know like with the
yes,
Enneagram, for example, you hear people being like, "Oh, that's just because I'm a 4, so I'm going to be, this is just my
I
personality."
don't know that type of too much. I know
Yeah.
only this Myers-Briggs a little,
Okay.
not also so deep, but this
Yeah.
Enneagram I don't know for myself.
Yeah. Well, I guess the question is, do you think, or how is using human design different from that? We always have free will. Do you just explain that to your clients? Because do you think that this could ever be limiting to them in some way where they're like, okay, I'm supposed to live by the water, I have to move or something? Or there's just ways. What are your thoughts around that?
First of all, this that's why it's always very important for people to understand that this is exactly like not stone.
Right.
So even the founder who channeled this knowledge, he said that he called it human design experiment,
Okay.
because we have to experiment with our body. For his recommendation is that at least 7 years we need to see like big difference. So
Right.
I am, for example, I'm in my end of fourth year. And
Okay.
this experiment word in this context means that human design is more about the mechanics and also exactly the experiment. So I can say an example, like in the human design system, my decision making authority is
Okay.
emotional authority, the suggested that I wait at least one day before I make a decision and don't
Okay.
rush to do the decision when my emotions are high or low. I have to wait out clarity. So I
Okay.
can choose, of course, if I want to play with this and follow it. And then,
Mhm.
for example, I'm not making hasty decisions, or I just say I don't care and I don't follow. But I am practicing what I preach. So
Right. Yeah.
I really work with this system, and I can really say that it was even just this little thing was a huge difference in my life, because
Mhm.
I am a Leo by astrology. I'm very
Yeah.
impulsive person. So for me, it was super difficult to calm myself down and not
Right.
do decision from my womb. And for example, already for me, I can say this made a lot of positive impact in my life.
I love that too. And I love that it's the human design experiment because it's try this. And I think too, and it's just like acknowledging that free, yeah, you can either do it or you don't have to. Yeah. And also there's so many ways, and this is probably what you do in your coaching too, is if someone it's oh, you're meant to live by water or that could be beneficial to you. It's like, how else can you bring that into your home? What other ways can you tap into that? So it's about helping people like puzzle piece when you're determining like, okay, you're more of a night eater. How can you tune into that? What are ways you can do that and start to experiment with that and play with that and see if it works for you?
Exactly, exactly.
I love that. Okay. One of the things you mentioned was that our entire life was planned out of sorts when we're in the womb. Is this something that we choose? Do you think that we choose, okay, this is the life that I'm going to have? These are the experiences I want to have before we are born?
I truly believe in this, and I also believe, first of all, so that everyone, like maybe the listeners who are listening to this, so understand my background. As I said, my background is very strictly religious, and
Right.
because of this, after this experience happened with me in 2009. I really started to explore also a lot of other religions. I met with the Dalai Lama in the Himalayas. I
Amazing.
also worked with very high position Arabic people who are practicing traditional Islam. So I worked with a lot of different religion people, and I had the opportunity to explore all these religions as well. And
Okay.
that's why I made the conclusion for myself what like forms my
Yeah.
belief system. So again, this is my belief system. It doesn't mean that this is
Right.
universal truth. This is what
Yeah.
I found out for myself, that
Mhm.
I believe we as souls, we already plan out why we are choosing which country we are born. Sorry, a little bit. So which country we are born, who are our parents, what kind of even the upbringing we choose. Because, for example, even in astrology, my south node is Cancer, but my north node is Aries. It's totally different quality.
Right.
My background is very family oriented, but my, let's say, my future is this travel, this thing, opening different cultures.
Right.
So basically, I truly believe that each one of us is also coming to life with a purpose. That's why I said in the beginning that I believe my main help is to help people get unstuck, because the moment they understand that each and every one of us, we have special purpose why we are
Mhm.
here, then already life is very different experience, because even the struggles make sense.
That's what I was gonna say, because one of the things, like, it's like 'cause some people may be like, "Why would I choose the struggle or to go through this suffering?" But it's all to learn and to live out our purpose.
Exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
if we wouldn't have the capabilities to deal with those struggles, we would not choose to experience those struggles. And that's where
Right.
also the consciousness needs to
Mm.
shift, because until somebody is stuck in the victim consciousness, they are just blaming everything around them and in their environment. Oh, I am sad because you said this to me, or I am angry because at work I had colleagues who, like, yeah, just were crazy, for example, or
Right.
whatever. But the moment the consciousness shifts inwards, the living out of the experience of life even is
Mhm.
totally different.
Right. And I love that you put, we have, I just wrote this down. We have the capabilities to deal with the things like the suffering and those things that we chose. And that's why we chose them because we're like, oh, yep, I'd be able to handle that. Yep, I think I could
Yes.
handle that really terrible dad that I want to struggle through that. You know what I mean? We know that we can handle it. That's a really just empowering way to view your life. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
agree. I fully agree. And then also that when the person already, that's why I really believe in this domino effect as well,
Yeah.
because when one person shifts, then the whole environment is going to shift. And then by the environment seeing that person shifted, they will also start to, oh, maybe she or he is like able to navigate so nicely even inside the struggle. Then
Yeah.
I need to ask what he or she is doing. So
Yeah,
I really believe
absolutely.
it's like a domino.
Yeah, I love that. And you also had mentioned before that we are actually living life in reverse. What
Yeah,
do you
this
mean by
also
that?
my own
I
interpretation
know. And
of
I'm so
the
interested in it because I was like, I've got to hear what she has to say about this.
yeah, the best parallel I can give is the seed, because let's say we have a seed of a palm tree and we
Mhm.
have a seed of a bamboo.
Okay.
If, for example, you put this seed, the palm tree you put, let's say, near to an ocean, the bamboo
Okay.
you put in China or Japan,
Okay.
and also the circumstances, how that seed is, let's say, watered, how much sun they get, that is like dependent on the environment, right?
Right.
Because that will depend how quickly it grows.
Right.
But the end result to what it grows, it is already in the seed. So for example, like a bamboo, if we have the seed, it cannot ever be a palm tree. So even
Right.
if I put this bamboo to next to the ocean, it will maybe it doesn't even survive in that sandy environment. But if everything is at the right place, that's why I believe we even chose our places. If
Right.
everything is at the right place and also the circumstances for the growth are given and supported, then
Yeah.
it will bloom into the maximum potential. And then
Mhm.
already the goal is already imprinted into the seed. So the seed, like for
Yeah.
example, the palm tree seed cannot become a bamboo or a rose.
Yeah. Okay,
And
that's
each of
fascinating.
them are amazing. So that's the thing, like we cannot compare the bamboo and the palm tree because they are also here in the nature ecologically for different reasons. So
Yeah.
it's totally different.
Interesting. But I'm still confused as how we're living life in reverse though.
So that in my perspective, we
Mhm.
decide before we come here
Mm.
what type of seed
I
we
get
want
it.
to be.
Okay. Sorry. I'm like,
So
I had to pause and think about that. Like, that's how it is with this stuff. And this is why I love the human design too. And like, it's such a unique way to work with someone and,
yeah,
to
I agree.
really, to get them, um, to shift and like really have to think about things. I'm even doing now. I'm like, wait, because we're so used to just we're on autopilot. And I think this, when you use, because I know that you did a little human design on me and it was fascinating just learning those little pieces. And it's really amazing because it makes you just think of things in a new way.
I'm very happy to hear it that
I
you
love
felt
that.
already
Yeah.
benefits from it.
Yeah, and one of the things too you mentioned is that it's time for people to wake up. What do you mean by that?
As I mentioned, it's mostly the consciousness shift.
Yeah.
And because I do believe in also domino effect, that
Yeah.
like if one person is shifting, then the whole environment is shifting. And maybe here I can just explain for the people who are watching this that what are the levels of consciousness,
Yeah.
so they can maybe even see for themselves where they are right now, and then
Okay.
maybe how they can go to the next
Yeah.
level, let's
Mhm.
say. So the first, like the base where mostly I honestly I never ever saw anyone, except if it's such a child that maybe in Africa I met some children in Zanzibar, like really having no conditioning at all from environment, so
Wow.
totally free. Maybe they are already not in the victim consciousness, they are already kind of like born into the survival consciousness, that especially in developing countries, because they already learn, they it's a little interesting because I feel that even this is different where we are born, because in East, like now also I'm
Yeah.
living in Bali, so the whole concept of living is much slower than,
Right.
for example, in Western countries. We are learning from childhood that, oh, you have to fight, like you have to, there are like big competition and like this, that I don't know in you or in our listeners, but in
Yeah.
my upbringing it was more like to see people as competition instead of oh, they are your friends. So,
Yeah.
and in Asia it's very different. In Asia these families and people are already supporting each other. So the consciousness, the first is the victim consciousness,
Okay.
which I already like mentioned. And victim consciousness is where, if we are in the victim consciousness, we feel that we have no control whatsoever on what's happening around us. Like we have no control over where we are working, what we are doing in our day. Everyone is like trying to control us, but we have no control.
Right.
Unfortunately, this is the stage where most people who are dealing with anxiety and depression, this is the stage where they are. And this, I believe that good coaches are able to shift them out. And this is, I believe that most of the coaching, even physical coaching like fitness and things, are helping to move them out of this stuck. Because
Right.
even a lot of times some people, they just need some movement, and then
Right.
they are
Absolutely.
already feeling totally different, because our first experience is also the body. So this
Yeah.
everyone needs to understand that if emotions are stuck, then the body is stuck. If
And
the
I
body
feel
is
like,
stuck,
yeah,
just
you just talking about fitness coaching too, because I work in fitness as well. And I hear people being a victim of their age a lot too. Oh, I'm just older, so I can't do this. You know what I mean? I can't do this. I can't do that. It's very like a victim mentality in that regard
yes,
too.
yes.
So getting them to do something different, getting them to move, getting them to work out, I can see how that is moving them away from that state of consciousness. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I truly believe that for people who are feeling like stuck in any
Yeah.
way, and they are feeling that they are in this low vibrational frequency, sometimes friend is enough to have. Because sometimes maybe if you have a friend who is, oh Jamie, let's go to run or
Yeah.
something, then you have that friend who can pull you out. But
Right.
also now, because of this pandemic and everything, it's difficult to find people who can help you come
Right.
out. So that's why also this platform is very
I was
good,
just gonna
because
say,
yeah,
I was
yeah,
just gonna
like
say,
like
this is why Task
exactly
Human platform is so amazing, right? We're helping pull people out of that consciousness, of the higher
stuckness.
consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
And then the second level, this I also already mentioned a little bit, where the person gets into the survivor consciousness. In the survivor consciousness, they are already aware that they can deal with the things, like, for example, the struggle, the pain.
Yeah.
They understand that even if they don't have the power to, at that stage, to change what happened. Of course, the past we cannot change, but they have already the power to change their perception of that thing, and they can just shift into, I can handle this. So from I have no control, they can shift to I can handle this.
Okay.
This is like the second stage.
Okay.
And then from here, where we are going like to higher, this is, let's say, what the world perceives as awakening. But in my opinion, it's like difficult even to talk about this, that what is awakening, because when somebody already realized their potential, this topic is just not there anymore. Like
Right.
you don't need to think how am I awake or not, because
Right.
you're just aware of everything.
Yeah.
So it's just a process, I believe. And I also believe that because of this domino effect, and also how is our current, I don't know if most probably the listeners already know a little about the astrology. So we are already going into the Aquarian age cycle.
Yes.
And Aquarius is already the innovation and the new. That's why some or a lot of people feel this kind of like shifts happening in their life, that like, oh my God, even for example, this, that to move from in-person meeting to online, or there are a lot of changes which are happening, which some people who are maybe at the lower frequency, they experience as problems, but who are already able to shift their consciousness, they experience as a new opportunity. So this is also like very important to see that currently with all of us, a lot of things are happening. And this is where we are like reaching. So after the survivor consciousness, we are getting into that we can influence, donkey, sorry, that we can influence our reality with our attitude. So that how we are like looking at the things what are happening, this is still not yet the creator consciousness, but it's already influencing the way how we see the things. In this third stage already you feel like more like happier, and even if something bad is happening, then you don't feel that, oh my god, like you just feel that I can handle it and I can even find a good thing in it. I would say this is like the third stage. And then the fourth stage, which were already start to lead us to the quantum physics and astrology, that thoughts and feelings create. And this is very important, and I would say this maybe if the people are interested, that there was this book, The Secret and the Law of Attraction, and why it is not working for many people, because it's not enough to say something. Until your level of vibration and feelings are not on that level, it won't happen. For example, let's say somebody maybe wants to live in Bali, okay? And they are saying, I'm going to live in Bali, I'm going to live in Bali, but they don't believe that they are going to live in Bali. But if you are already like shifting the experience, and maybe you put on meditation like Bali. I had a friend like this, she said this one, and it's so funny. I honestly, for me, I'm traveling since more than 10 years. So for me, it's not a very big thing. I lived already on Seychelles, Maldives. I lived amazing places. So Bali is not something extra. But for example, a friend of mine, that was the huge goal of the life, to move to Bali. And she said that she was listening to Balinese music in her tiny apartment at home for 1-2 years. And after that, she even like forgot about this idea of moving or anything. She just got used to it, that was her morning to put on with the coffee the Balinese sounds. And after that some years, she ended up basically in Bali. And now here every morning we are hearing this kind of temple sounds and stuff like this. So she realized she already, with her programming of feelings, she created the experience, and then the experience had place to arrive.
Okay, I gotta write that down. So the programming of feelings.
Yes, and that also they really need to create. So because if they don't, for example, this very good example, the money, because money, a lot of people, they have struggle with money. But and also that's why they are like against these books, for example, The Secret and all these things, because they say that every day I'm saying the mantra, I will be rich, I will be rich, and whatever. But they inside themselves, they don't believe it. So they don't create their gratitude in their life to be able to have space to arrive that abundance. So for example, if someone is requiring money, let's say, then also we need to understand, or if coach, then of course the coach is helping. But if the person just doing it at home, they need to understand first what is the reason they want the money, because different people want different reasons. So for example, for me, my highest goal is freedom and peace. So, for example, if I need money because I want to create my full abundance, which for me means freedom and peace, then instead of connecting with I want more money, I need to connect with the feeling how I would feel the most freedom and peace. And try to already create these kind of feelings in my current reality, that like where I feel already free, where I feel maybe I still have some like limitation. I'm feeling luckily I already worked these things, but it was long years of working through the feelings. So yeah, like it's a shift and it's a work, like it cannot be bypassed by the mind. And that's also that's why all this work with a lot of time, if someone lucky to have friends who can help them, then it's very good. But sometimes it's, if people are very like stuck position, then they might need like professional support to help
Right.
them shift. And then when we create already that level that we are able to control also our feelings, and
Mhm.
according to our feelings we start to create the reality.
Right.
Because that is also what the quantum physics, when I'm now so much also into this kind of like, I never believed I would be interested in
Yeah.
physics, but
Right.
there are also experiments where they can like monitor that how really consciousness can be created. And even, for example, in army, and I'm not an army person, but I
Mhm.
know that there are people who are like assisting the army to see what's happening in an environment, and they are not physically there,
Huh.
but they can look into that. They can create a consciousness bridge. They can look into that place without drones, without anything. And this is even in quantum physics experiments. Like, people,
Okay.
if they get interested in this topic, they can just use our internet, and yeah, they can start researching
Wow.
about this, because
Yeah.
there
It's
are
like mind
amazing,
blown, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
A
there
lot.
are like, I could do this mind teleporting. I'm not there yet,
Wow.
but
Okay, so are those all the levels of consciousness, the 4?
yeah, yeah. And actually, here that there is two more extra which we have to reach to there. And I believe, for example, you also, like, you are
Mhm.
already, because you are in the helping industry. So people who already reach to the service level of assisting
Mhm.
others, they are already on, let's say, fifth level, because the five is understanding that we all co-create the reality.
Mm.
So if, for example, you struggle and I am amazingly living, then our collective is still struggling. So
Okay.
I need
Yeah.
to help that more and more people are getting from the stuck to higher, because until there are like people who are, let's say, stuck and in
Right.
lower vibration, we as a collective consciousness, we cannot grow. So
Okay.
in the fifth consciousness, already the person is going to help others to experience the same level of consciousness.
Okay.
And here there is, I really believe in this, that there is already no choice, because when you reach to a stage of understanding, you will know, you will just know that if you are good and others suffer, it's not good. So you
Right.
need to do something. So in the fifth level, I believe everyone who is already in the service industry, it can be like nurses, doctors,
Yeah.
coaches, whoever is serving other people, they are already on this level of consciousness, because they understand if you suffer, I suffer too. So
Right.
this is the, let's say, the fifth consciousness. And I believe as a collective, we are really close to the higher stages. Not too many people are still in the stuck mode, because especially with this pandemic, I believe it was a real like wake up call for a lot of people. And they
Mm.
started to see that just because maybe I am not in lockdown, a lot of people are. So
Yeah.
it's not good. I am free, but others are not free.
Right.
So, and then the six is basically the highest, when the informed consciousness informed. So when consciousness is informed, so we
Okay.
understand that we are already the consciousness in the form, and that the basically the form starts to create what it wants to see. And this is the, basically this was also the vision of the founder of the human design, that to use these tools of let's say awakening, or I would say like consciousness raising practices, also yoga,
Mhm.
meditation, breathing,
Yeah.
to level up. And that we as a collective, we can create a better future, not only for us but for the next generations.
Yes. I love this. Okay, so there's 6 levels that we
Yes,
just went
yes,
through. Okay, so we
yes.
got the victim, then the survivor, the awakening, and then our thoughts and feelings to create, right? Or like more about feelings creating is number 4.
Yes, yes.
And then
So the three is the attitude, is just the perception, and the four is where already the feelings are also. So
okay.
not just the attitude, but also the feelings and thoughts.
Okay. And then the fifth one is helping others, the idea that we're all co creating. And then the sixth is the highest, like we are the consciousness,
Yes, yes,
that
yes.
we
And
create what we
basically
want to
that
see.
consciousness creates, exactly.
Yeah. The consciousness creates. Okay. Wow. Amazing. Okay. I love this. Whew. It's like when we talk about this stuff, I feel like, you need a break after almost. It's just so,
Yeah, yeah, I know, it's a
it,
lot. It's
it's
a
a
lot.
lot. I love it though, because it really just opens you up to new ways of thinking. And so um how do you use human design in your own life? Is it just following your own chart and experimenting, so to speak?
I am using it to make up as many
Yeah.
people as I can because honestly, like it helped so much for me. Like I am so after this happened with me in 2009, I was paralyzed for half year. I
Okay.
absolutely could not go back to bodybuilding. Not even I could not even walk. So it took me
Wow.
half year to start even walking. And
Right.
then after I had to choose a movement which is not
Mhm.
like bodybuilding because
Right.
I just like before I was like squatting with
Right.
big weights and like crazy things. And
Yeah.
after it was just I had to be able to move. So that's
Right.
where I met my first yoga teacher. And that's
Okay.
how also the yoga came into my life. And then also Pilates came at a later stage in
Okay.
2000, around 14 or 15. And that was also because of a lower back issue.
Okay.
So like all these modalities, let's say the softer, the body weight trainings,
Mhm.
they found me because I just physically I had to build myself up again to be
Right.
able to if I would honestly I now I'm not, that's why I'm not anymore into this fitness thing because
Yeah.
I know the benefits, of course, that it is good to use resistance in the trainings, but also I am more into life sustaining practices that you
Yeah.
can do at any life stage. So
Right.
that's why I am more into the yoga and Pilates because even if you are an older person,
Yeah.
you can do it, or if you had an accident and need to recover. So again, I'm not like against the fitness industry because if
Right.
somebody needs to lose a big amount of weight and in a shorter time, then definitely they
Yeah.
need to do something like sweaty and more strong.
Yeah.
But if we are looking for like just life expectancy and just having average like good health, then I'm more into body weight exercises and movements.
Yeah. And so you're using that. And then, of course, everything you learned from your own charts and human design just to really keep yourself moving and healthy and awesome. I love
Yeah.
this. This has been such a great talk. Is there anything else that you want to share about human design?
Uh,
Any last?
well, I don't know. It's an invitation to a consciousness raising. So I can't, even with for example, with the human design, that's what
Mm.
was also one of my big learning curve that I cannot save other people.
Right.
And I can just be myself and inspire other people with my life. And
Yeah,
whoever
absolutely.
is interested to maybe learn from me, they will find me and they want to learn, but I am not pushing anything on anyone. So
Yeah.
even with the human design, I believe it's important that the person feels this call from inside that I want to learn about this.
Yeah.
Because if let's say, for example, maybe you are saying to your friend that like, oh look, today I learned about this human design, you should do this one, then maybe it's not the best idea. But
Yeah.
if you just tell that like, look, I did this one and it helped for me, then maybe
Mhm.
the person will be interested and they will say that okay, maybe I'm also interested or not. So I
Yeah,
believe
I
that
know that makes
even
me think of like I don't know if you've heard this saying, but stop shitting on people.
yeah, like yeah, just like work on yourself and
Yeah,
then inspire
exactly.
others. Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Aya. This has been so great. I just have loved this conversation and learning more about it myself because I know we only did it for you read my chart for just a brief amount of time, but even in
Yes,
that,
yes.
even with what 15 minutes that I had, it was still so informative and really eye-opening. And so if you're out there and you're wanting to try something a little different, you're ready for something new, you're ready to shift out of being stuck, definitely
Yes.
give Aya a call on the app and check her out and learn a little bit more about human design. It is really interesting. It is fascinating. And yeah, if that's your thing, I think you guys will really enjoy it. Any last words before we jump off?
Thank you for inviting me
Yes.
for this.
Thank you. This was great. And thank you all for listening. Until next time, enjoy. Bye, everyone.